First day jitters. Sarah Chen took a deep breath, her hand hovering over the activation panel of the Galactic Academy of Cultural Studies. The iridescent doors loomed before her, a gateway to a world she'd only dreamed of until now. As the first human transfer student in the Academy's history, she knew all eyes would be on her, some curious, others wary, and a few potentially hostile. "Well, K9," she murmured to the sleek, metallic form at her feet, "here goes nothing." The robotic dog's photoreceptors flickered with a soft blue light, a reassuring presence in this alien environment. K9 was more than just a pet. He was Sarah's link to home, a technological marvel that showcased the best of human ingenuity. And today, he would be her show-and-tell project. As the doors whooshed open, Sarah stepped into a kaleidoscope of alien life. The Academy's atrium bustled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and compositions. Crystalline entities floated serenely past gelatinous blobs, while insectoid creatures chittered excitedly with tentacled organisms. The air was filled with a cacophony of languages, only some of which Sarah's universal translator could decipher. "Fascinating," K9 intoned, his vocoder perfectly replicating the inflection of the late 21st century British scientist who had inspired his creation. "I'm detecting over 200 distinct species in this room alone, Sarah." A hush fell over the atrium as the aliens noticed the newcomers. Sarah felt her cheeks burn as hundreds of eyes, stalks, and sensory organs swiveled in her direction. She heard whispers ripple through the crowd. "Is that a Deathworlder? By the cosmic void, they actually let one in. Look at those dense limbs. And that exoskeleton. Is it some kind of battle armor?" Sarah squared her shoulders and strode forward, K9 trotting faithfully at her heels. She'd prepared for this, knew that her very presence would be shocking to many. Humans, after all, came from what the galactic community classified as a death world, a planet so fraught with dangers that it was a miracle any sapient life had evolved there at all. As she made her way to the registration desk, Sarah couldn't help but notice how the crowd parted before her, giving her a wide berth. The Xyloxian attendant, a being composed of shimmering plasma, contained within a force field, visibly recoiled as Sarah approached. "Greetings," the Xyloxian stammered, its voice crackling like static. "You must be the human transfer student," Sarah finished with a smile. "Sarah Chen, from Earth. I'm here to pick up my class schedule and dormitory assignment." The Xyloxian's plasma form flickered nervously as it processed her request. Of course. Here you are, Miss Chen. Your first class is Interspecies Ethics and Etiquette in Auditorium 12. And your dormitory is in the reinforced wing. For your own safety, of course." Sarah accepted the holographic datapad, trying not to let her disappointment show. Of course they'd put her in the reinforced wing, probably designed to contain dangerous species. "Thank you," she said politely. "Oh, and I was told to inform you that I brought a companion for today's show-and-tell session. This is K9. The robotic dog sat at attention, his tail wagging in a perfect simulation of canine behavior. The Xyloxian's plasma form crackled with alarm. That's not a real Earth predator, is it?" Sarah laughed, the sound causing nearby aliens to flinch. No, K9 is an artificial companion. He's perfectly safe, I assure you." As if to demonstrate, K9 extended a manipulator arm from a hidden compartment and offered it to the Xyloxian in a handshake gesture. "How do you do?" the robot inquired politely. The Xyloxian hesitantly extended a plasmic tendril, which passed harmlessly through K9's manipulator. "Extraordinary," it murmured. "Well, Miss Chen, you and your K9 are cleared for entry. Please proceed to your class." Sarah nodded her thanks and set off towards Auditorium 12, aware of the whispers and stares that followed in her wake. K9 kept pace beside her, occasionally offering observations on the Academy's architecture or the unique biology of the aliens they passed. As they entered the auditorium, Sarah's heart sank. The tiered seating was arranged in a semicircle, with each tier designed to accommodate different physiologies, and every single seat in the lower tiers was empty, creating a conspicuous buffer zone around the front of the room. Taking a deep breath, Sarah made her way to the front row and took a seat, K9 settling at her feet. She could feel the weight of countless alien gazes boring into her back, could hear the rustle and slither of beings shifting nervously in their seats. The instructor, a Volcran with 4 arms and iridescent scales, entered the room and froze upon seeing Sarah. It took the alien a moment to compose itself before speaking. "Welcome, class, to Interspecies Ethics and Etiquette. I see we have our special transfer student with us today. Miss Chen, would you care to introduce yourself and your companion?" Sarah stood, her heart pounding. This was it, her chance to make a first impression, to begin bridging the gap between humanity and the galactic community. "Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Chen from Earth. I know many of you have heard scary things about my homeworld and my species, but I'm here to learn and to share. And this," she gestured to K9, "is my companion, K9. He's an artificial intelligence housed in a robotic body, designed to showcase some of humanity's technological achievements." A tentative tentacle rose from the back of the room. "Is it true that your world is constantly trying to kill you?" a quavering voice asked. Sarah smiled. "Well, Earth can be dangerous, yes, but it's also beautiful and full of life. We've learned to adapt and thrive." Another voice, this one sharp and clicking, cut in. "And what about you, human? Are you dangerous?" Before Sarah could answer, K9 smoothly interjected. "If I may, Sarah is no more inherently dangerous than any sapient being. Humans have a remarkable capacity for both creation and destruction, much like any advanced species. It is their choices that define them, not their biology." The auditorium fell silent, the aliens processing this unexpected philosophical statement from what they had assumed was a simple machine. Seizing the moment, Sarah continued, "K9 is right. We're not here to harm anyone. We're here to learn, to grow, and to become part of the galactic community. And today, for show and tell, I'd like to demonstrate some of K9's capabilities, if that's all right." The Volcran instructor, seemingly intrigued despite itself, nodded. "Very well, Miss Chen. Please proceed." Sarah grinned, some of her nervousness fading. "All right, K9. Let's show them what you can do. Initiate protocol. Galactic Ambassador." K9's form began to shift, panels sliding open to reveal an array of sensors, tools, and holographic projectors. The robot's voice resonated through the auditorium, now sounding like a harmonious blend of a dozen alien languages. "Greetings, sentients of the Galactic Academy. I am K9, a culmination of human artificial intelligence and adaptive robotics. I am programmed with the knowledge of over 10,000 alien cultures, capable of real-time language translation, and equipped with a variety of scientific instruments for peaceful exploration and cultural exchange." As K9 spoke, he projected a series of holographic images, breathtaking vistas of Earth's diverse ecosystems, snippets of human art and music, and demonstrations of human technological achievements. The aliens in the auditorium leaned forward, their fear and apprehension gradually giving way to curiosity and wonder. Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this was the beginning of something beautiful, a true exchange of knowledge and understanding between Earth and the wider galaxy. But as K9's presentation continued, Sarah noticed a group of aliens in the back of the auditorium huddled together, whispering urgently. Their eyes darted between her, K9, and their personal datapads. Something about their body language set Sarah's instincts on edge. She'd expected fear and curiosity from her alien classmates, but the intensity of this group's scrutiny felt different. It felt calculating, almost threatening. As the class drew to a close and the aliens filed out, many now chattering excitedly about the presentation. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she'd stumbled into something far more complex than simple cultural exchange. She'd come to the Galactic Academy to build bridges, but had she inadvertently walked into a cosmic storm? K9, sensing her unease, pressed reassuringly against her leg. "Fascinating first day, wouldn't you say, Sarah?" The robot quipped, his voice once again that of the cheerful British scientist. Sarah managed a small smile, scratching behind K9's metallic ears. "Fascinating indeed, K9. And I have a feeling it's only going to get more interesting from here." As they exited the auditorium, neither Sarah nor K9 noticed the small insectoid drone that detached itself from the ceiling and followed silently in their wake, its multifaceted eyes recording their every move. The game, as they said on Earth, was afoot. Unraveling mysteries. The days following Sarah's dramatic introduction to the Galactic Academy of Cultural Studies were a whirlwind of new experiences, startling revelations, and growing unease. As the novelty of her presence began to wear off, Sarah found herself navigating a complex web of alien social dynamics, some of which seemed to shift the moment she thought she understood them. K9 trotted beside her as they made their way to the Academy's vast library, a structure that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Shelves stretched into infinity, filled with data crystals, holographic tomes, and even some honest-to-goodness paper books from various worlds. "I've detected an uptick in data traffic concerning Earth and Deathworlders in general," K9 reported, his voice low. "It seems our presence has sparked quite the research frenzy." Sarah nodded, having noticed the increased scrutiny herself. "Let's see what they're so curious about, shall we?" As they approached a cluster of data terminals, a gaggle of alien students quickly dispersed, their previous animated discussion cut short. Sarah caught snippets of their thoughts through their hastily severed psionic links. Potential threat level. How did they even achieve spaceflight with those reflexes? Genome is a disaster. How are they still alive? Sarah sighed, plugging herself into a free terminal. The neural interface tingled as it connected with her brain implant, a standard piece of tech for humans these days, but something that had caused quite a stir among the alien medical staff during her entrance exams. "K9, can you help me filter through this? Look for anything unusual or potentially concerning." The robotic dog's eyes flickered as he wirelessly connected to the terminal. "Certainly, Sarah," initiating deep scan of recent queries and data access patterns. As they sifted through the information, a clear pattern began to emerge. The alien students weren't just curious about humans. They were terrified. And they were looking for weaknesses. Sarah's heart sank as she read through some of the more popular search topics: human vulnerability to common neurotoxins, Deathworlder physical limitations in varied gravity environments, psychological warfare techniques effective against predator species. "This doesn't look good, K9," Sarah murmured, her voice tight. "They're treating us like some kind of invasive species." K9's tail drooped slightly, his programming sophisticated enough to simulate empathy. "It appears fear is a universal constant, Sarah. Perhaps we can use this as an opportunity for education." Before Sarah could respond, a soft voice spoke up behind her. "Excuse me, human Sarah. I couldn't help but overhear." Sarah turned to find herself face to face, or rather, face to eye stalks, with a Xylaxian, a species known for their empathic abilities and diplomatic skills. The alien's translucent skin shimmered with patterns that Sarah recognized as indicators of nervous excitement. "I'm Xylax," the Xylaxian introduced itself. I was hoping we could talk. About Earth. About you. Some of us. We're not all. We don't all think you're a threat." Sarah blinked in surprise, then smiled warmly. "I'd like that, Xylax. Would you care to join us for lunch? I promise I don't bite. At least, not unless the cafeteria food turns out to be sentient." Xylax's eye stalks quivered in what Sarah hoped was amusement. A human joke. Fascinating. "Yes, I'd be honored to share a meal with you." As they made their way to the cafeteria, Sarah noticed the usual buffer zone forming around her. But this time, Zillax stayed close, apparently unbothered by the proximity to a dangerous Deathworlder. It was a small victory, but it lifted Sarah's spirits considerably. The cafeteria was a marvel of xenobiological engineering, designed to cater to the dietary needs of hundreds of different species. Sarah's meal, a synthesized approximation of Earth cuisine, looked bland in comparison to the technicolor array of nutrients on Zillax's tray. As they settled at a table, other curious aliens began to drift closer, drawn by the unusual sight of a human and a Zillaxian in friendly conversation. K9 sat alertly at Sarah's feet, his sensors constantly scanning for any potential threats. "So, Zillax," Sarah began, taking a bite of her not-quite chicken sandwich, "what made you decide to approach me? Most of your classmates seem content to observe from a distance." Zillax's skin rippled with patterns of deep blue. "Embarrassment," Sarah guessed. "To be honest, it was your companion that intrigued me first." K9. "Was it? The level of artificial intelligence you've achieved. It's unprecedented in the galactic community." K9's tail wagged at the compliment. "I appreciate your interest, Zillax. I assure you, my primary function is to assist and protect, not to cause harm." A Volcran student, emboldened by Zillax's friendly demeanor, slithered closer. "But why would you need such advanced AI for mere companionship? Surely it's a weapon of some kind." Sarah shook her head, trying to keep the frustration out of her voice. "Not everything we create is a weapon. K9 is the product of centuries of research into artificial intelligence. Yes, but his purpose is to learn, to grow, and to help bridge the gap between different forms of sapient life." "Fascinating," chittered an insectoid being that had been eavesdropping nearby. "But surely on a death world, every creation must have some defensive purpose. How else would you survive?" Sarah took a deep breath, reminding herself that their questions came from a place of genuine curiosity, not malice. Earth is challenging, yes, but it's also beautiful and full of wonder. We created K9 and other AIs to help us explore, to push the boundaries of what's possible. Our drive to survive has given us a unique perspective on problem-solving and innovation. As Sarah spoke, she noticed more and more aliens drifting closer, their fear seemingly outweighed by their curiosity. Even some of the faculty members were lingering nearby, pretending to be engaged in other tasks while clearly listening in. Zillax's skin shimmered with patterns of gold, excitement, and dawning understanding. "So, your adaptations, your technology, they're not just about conquest or destruction. They're about discovery." Sarah grinned, feeling a spark of hope. "Exactly. Humanity has always been driven by the need to explore, to understand. Yes, we've made mistakes along the way, but we're constantly striving to be better, to reach further." As the conversation flowed, Sarah found herself fielding questions on everything from Earth's ecosystems to human art and culture. K9 chimed in occasionally, offering additional context or displaying holographic images to illustrate a point. But even as Sarah reveled in this moment of connection, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught glimpses of the same group of aliens she'd noticed in the auditorium, huddled in a corner and speaking in hushed tones. K9, ever vigilant, had noticed them too. "Sarah," he murmured, his voice pitched low enough that only she could hear, "I'm detecting encrypted communications from that group. They seem to be very interested in our conversation." Sarah nodded almost imperceptibly, keeping her face neutral as she continued to chat with her new acquaintances. "Keep monitoring them, K9. Let me know if you pick up anything concrete." As the lunch period drew to a close, Sarah felt a mix of emotions. On one hand, she'd made real progress in connecting with her alien classmates. Zillax, in particular, seemed genuinely interested in fostering a friendship. On the other hand, the mysterious group's covert observation left her feeling uneasy. As the aliens began to disperse, Heading to their afternoon classes, Zilax lingered. "Human Sarah," it said, its voice tinged with what sounded like concern. I feel I should warn you. There are some here who see your presence as a threat to the galactic order. Please be careful." Sarah's heart raced, but she kept her voice steady. "Thank you, Zilax. I appreciate your candor. I hope that in time, we can prove that humanity is worthy of trust and friendship." As Zilax departed with a final shimmer of worried colors, Sarah knelt down beside K9. "Well, boy," she murmured, scratching behind his metallic ears, "looks like we've got our work cut out for us. What do you say we do a little investigating of our own?" K9's photoreceptors gleamed with an almost mischievous light. "I thought you'd never ask, Sarah. Shall we play detective?" With a determined nod, Sarah stood, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She'd come to the Galactic Academy to build bridges between humanity and the wider universe. If there were those who sought to undermine that goal, well, they'd soon learn that humans were not so easily deterred. As they left the cafeteria, neither Sarah nor K9 noticed the small spherical drone that detached itself from the ceiling and followed silently in their wake. The game of cat and mouse, or perhaps, in this case, human and xenomorph, was about to enter a new and dangerous phase. Rising tensions. The Galactic Academy's biodome was a marvel of xenobotanical engineering, housing plant species from 1,000 worlds in carefully maintained environmental bubbles. Sarah Chen found herself here more and more often as the days went by, seeking solace among the otherworldly flora. It was here, surrounded by the familiar green of photosynthetic life, albeit in shapes and sizes she'd never imagined, that she felt closest to home. K9 sat beside her, his sensors quietly scanning the area. They'd discovered several hidden surveillance devices over the past week, and the robotic dog had taken it upon himself to jam or misdirect them whenever possible. "Penny for your thoughts, Sarah," K9 asked, his voice modulated to a soothing tone. Sarah sighed, absently stroking the nearby plant that resembled a cross between a fern and a jellyfish. "I'm just tired, K9. I knew this wouldn't be easy, but I never expected to feel like I was under constant siege." The events of the past few weeks played through her mind like a surreal movie. The initial fear and curiosity of her alien classmates had given way to a complex web of political and social dynamics. Some, like Zilax, had become genuine friends. Others regarded her with a wary respect. But a vocal minority seemed determined to paint humanity as a threat to galactic stability. "I've been analyzing the data we've gathered," K9 said, projecting a holographic display from his eyes. "There's a pattern to the anti-human sentiment. It's not random xenophobia. It's too coordinated." Sarah leaned in, studying the complex web of connections K9 had mapped out. "You think someone's orchestrating this?" "Affirmative. The linguistic patterns, the timing of information leaks about Earth. It's all too perfect. Someone wants the galactic community to fear humanity." Before Sarah could respond, her comm unit chimed. It was Zilax, its voice tinged with urgency. "Human Sarah, you need to see this. The central auditorium. Quickly." Sarah and K9 exchanged a glance before sprinting out of the biodome. As they approached the auditorium, they could hear the buzz of hundreds of alien voices, a cacophony of shock, fear, and anger. The massive holoscreen dominating the auditorium was playing footage that made Sarah's blood run cold. It showed scenes of human history, but only the darkest moments. Wars, environmental disasters, violent crime, all presented without context, painting humanity as little more than savages. "This is what the humans have kept hidden from us," a voice boomed over the speakers. Sarah recognized it as belonging to Exor Thrax, one of the most vocal anti-human students. "They claim to come in peace, but their history is written in blood." Sarah pushed her way through the crowd, her heart pounding. She could feel the fear and anger radiating from the alien students, could see centuries of carefully built diplomatic bridges crumbling before her eyes. "That's not the whole story," she shouted, her voice carrying over the din. The crowd fell silent, all eyes turning to her. You can't judge an entire species by its worst moments. HFY sneered, his mandibles clicking in derision. And why should we believe you, Deathworlder? Your very presence here is a threat to our way of life. Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself. This was the moment she'd been preparing for, whether she knew it or not. You're right, she said, her voice clear and steady. Humanity has a violent past. We've made terrible mistakes, but we've also learned from them. We've grown. She nodded to K9, who projected his own holographic display. This time, it showed a different side of human history, scientific breakthroughs, artistic masterpieces, acts of kindness and heroism. This is humanity too, Sarah continued. We're not perfect, but we're always striving to be better. We came here to learn, to share knowledge, to become part of something greater than ourselves. The alien students murmured among themselves, many seeming conflicted. Xilax pushed forward, its skin shimmering with supportive patterns. She speaks the truth. I studied human history extensively. Yes, it's violent, but it's also filled with beauty and progress. Thrax hissed, his compound eyes gleaming with malice. Pretty words and carefully curated images, but actions speak louder, don't they? Tell me, human, what is the true purpose of your AI companion? We know it's far more advanced than you've let on. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. How could they know about K9's full capabilities? She'd been careful to only demonstrate his more benign functions. K9, sensing the shift in the room's energy, stepped forward. I am not a weapon, he stated firmly. I am the culmination of humanity's dreams of creating true artificial intelligence. My purpose is to learn, to grow, and to foster understanding between different forms of life. A ripple of astonishment went through the crowd. Many of the aliens had assumed K9 was a simple VI, not a fully sentient being. Thrax wasn't backing down. And we're supposed to believe that humans created such advanced AI for peaceful purposes. Nonsense. It's clearly a tool for espionage and subversion. The tension in the room was palpable. Sarah could feel the situation balancing on a knife's edge. One wrong move, and all her efforts at building trust would be for nothing. Then, unexpectedly, help came from an unlikely source. Professor Xilax, the head of the xenobiology department, floated forward. The Medusan's tentacles writhed with barely contained emotion. I've remained silent on this matter for too long. The professor's telepathic voice resonated in everyone's minds. But I can no longer stand by while ignorance and fear threaten to undo everything this academy stands for. The professor turned to address the crowd. I have studied the human genome extensively. Yes, they come from a high-gravity, high-danger world. Yes, their biology is optimized for survival in harsh conditions. But that same drive to survive has given them a remarkable capacity for adaptation and innovation. Xilax's tentacles gesture towards Sarah and K9. This student and her AI companion represent the best of what humanity has to offer. They came here not to conquer, but to connect, to learn and to teach. Are we so blinded by our own preconceptions that we would reject this opportunity for growth? The professor's words seemed to have a calming effect on the crowd. Many of the aliens looked thoughtful, some even ashamed of their earlier outbursts. Thrax, however, was not so easily swayed. Pretty speeches won't change the facts. Humans are dangerous, and their AI is a threat to our very way of life. But his words no longer carried the same weight. More and more students were drifting towards Sarah, their body language curious rather than hostile. A Volcrin student Sarah recognized from her Interspecies ethics class spoke up. I'd like to learn more about human culture. If you're willing to teach us, that is. Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. I'd be honored, she said, smiling. And I'd love to learn more about all of your cultures too. That's why we're here, isn't it? To learn from each other. As the mood in the auditorium shifted from hostile to cautiously optimistic, Sarah caught sight of Xorthrax and his cohorts slipping out a side door, their expressions dark with anger and frustration. K9's voice came low, meant for Sarah's ears only. "This isn't over, Sarah. Xorthrax and his allies won't give up so easily." Sarah nodded almost imperceptibly. "I know, but we've made progress today. We've shown them that humanity is more than just its worst moments." As aliens began to approach Sarah with questions and tentative offers of friendship, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. She'd come to the Galactic Academy to build bridges, but it seemed she'd walked into something far more complex and potentially dangerous. In the shadows of the auditorium, unseen by the crowd, a small drone recorded everything. Its operator, hidden away in a secure room deep within the academy, watched the proceedings with growing concern. The human was proving to be more resilient than anticipated. More drastic measures might be necessary. As the drone's feed cut out, a clawed hand reached out to tap a series of commands into a holographic interface. Across the academy, hidden protocols began to activate. The next phase of the plan was about to begin, and Sarah Chen, representative of humanity and unwitting pawn in a game she didn't even know she was playing, would soon face her greatest challenge yet. Collision course. The days following the confrontation in the auditorium were a whirlwind of activity for Sarah Chen. The incident had thrust her into the spotlight, and suddenly, it seemed like every alien student at the Galactic Academy wanted to learn more about humanity. Sarah found herself giving impromptu lectures on Earth culture, fielding questions about human biology, and even teaching a few brave souls how to play chess. K9 was by her side through it all, his advanced AI helping to bridge communication gaps and provide additional context where needed. The robotic dog had become something of a celebrity in his own right, with many alien students fascinated by his capabilities and eager to interact with him. But beneath the surface of this newfound acceptance, a current of tension still ran strong. Xorthrax and his supporters had gone quiet, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were planning something. The number of surveillance drones they detected had increased dramatically, and there were whispers of secret meetings happening in the dark corners of the academy. It was during one of Sarah's impromptu Earth culture sessions in the academy's central plaza that things came to a head. She was in the middle of explaining the concept of music to a group of fascinated aliens, with K9 providing holographic demonstrations of various instruments, when suddenly, every screen and holographic display in the plaza flickered to life. The face that appeared was one Sarah had never seen before, a being that seemed to be a hybrid of organic and mechanical parts, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "Students of the Galactic Academy," the beam's voice boomed, "I am Zixvok, speaker for the Galactic Preservation Society. I come to you today with a grave warning." Sarah felt her heart race as Zixvok continued. "The human presence in our midst is not the benign cultural exchange it appears to be. It is the vanguard of an invasion force, sent to study our weaknesses and prepare for conquest." The plaza erupted into chaos. Alien students turned to Sarah, with looks ranging from confusion to outright hostility. K9 moved closer to her, his sensors on high alert. "That's a lie," Sarah shouted, but her voice was drowned out by the growing commotion. Zixvok's image smiled coldly. "Is it? Then perhaps the human would care to explain this." The screen split, showing footage that made Sarah's blood run cold. It was a classified Earth military briefing, discussing potential first contact scenarios. The footage was heavily edited, cutting out context and focusing on worst-case defensive measures. "As you can see," Zixvok continued, "the humans have been preparing for war since before they even met us. And let us not forget their AI companion, a weapon of unprecedented sophistication." K9's voice cut through the din, amplified to reach every corner of the plaza. "You speak of things you do not understand. I am not a weapon, and Sarah is not a spy. We came here in peace, seeking understanding and cooperation." Zixvok's eyes narrowed. "Pretty words from a machine designed to deceive, but we have seen through your lies. The time has come to end this charade. Suddenly, Sarah felt a strange tingling sensation. She looked down to see her body starting to shimmer, as if she were being enveloped in some kind of energy field. A teleportation field. K9 barked. "Sarah, they're trying to." Before he could finish, Sarah vanished in a flash of light. The plaza erupted into pandemonium. Some students ran in panic, while others turned on K9, seeing him as a threat now that his human companion was gone. But K9 was not defenseless. A shimmering force field sprang up around him, keeping the hostile aliens at bay. "Listen to me," he pleaded, his voice resonating with an authority that made even the most panicked students pause. "Sarah has been abducted. She is in danger. If you truly believe in the principles of this academy, you must help me find her." For a moment, the plaza was silent. Then, unexpectedly, Zilax pushed through the crowd. "The AI is right," the Xylaxian declared, its skin shimmering with patterns of determination. "Whatever you may think of humans, Sarah came here in peace. We cannot allow her to be harmed." Professor Zilax floated forward, tentacles writhing with agitation. "Agreed. This act of aggression goes against everything the Galactic Academy stands for. We must act quickly." As if a spell had been broken, students began to rally. Those who had come to know Sarah over the past weeks spoke up in her defense. Even those who were still wary of humans seemed uncomfortable with the idea of an unprovoked kidnapping. K9's sensors were working overtime, scanning for any trace of Sarah's unique biosignature. "I'm detecting residual energy from the teleportation field," he announced. "I believe I can trace it to its source, but we must hurry." A Volcran student slithered forward. "I can interface with the Academy's security systems. We'll find any unauthorized access or hidden areas." An arachnid-like being chittered excitedly. "My species can navigate through maintenance tunnels too small for most. We can search areas others can't reach." As the students organized themselves into search parties, K9 felt a surge of something akin to hope. This, he realized, was the true spirit of the Galactic Academy. Diverse beings coming together in the face of adversity, using their unique abilities to solve a common problem. But even as the search began, K9 knew they were racing against time. Whoever had taken Sarah clearly had resources and a plan. The question was, what did they truly want? And how far were they willing to go to achieve their goals? Deep beneath the Academy, in a hidden facility shielded from all known forms of detection, Sarah Chen awoke with a groan. She found herself strapped to some kind of examination table, surrounded by humming machinery she didn't recognize. "Ah, our guest awakens," came a familiar voice. Sarah turned her head to see Exorthrax emerge from the shadows, flanked by the cybernetic being she now knew as Zixvok. "What is the meaning of this?" Sarah demanded, struggling against her restraints. "You can't just kidnap a diplomatic representative." Zixvok's mechanical eyes weird as they focused on her. "Oh, but we can. You see, Miss Chen, you are no longer a diplomatic representative. As of 10 minutes ago, you are an enemy combatant in a war you didn't even know had begun." Sarah's mind raced. "A war? How was that possible?" "You're lying," she spat. "Earth has no quarrel with the Galactic Alliance." Exorthrax chittered in amusement. "Perhaps not yet, but they will, once we're done here." As the two aliens loomed over her, Sarah realized with a chill that this was more than just xenophobia or political maneuvering. This was something far more sinister, and she was caught right in the middle of it. Back in the plaza, K9 suddenly froze, his sensors detecting a massive surge of energy from deep beneath the Academy. Whatever was happening, he knew instinctively that it involved Sarah, and he knew that time was running out. The battle for the future of human-alien relations was about to begin in earnest, and the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. Humanity's stand. The bowels of the Galactic Academy thrummed with an ominous energy as Sarah Chen fought against her restraints. The laboratory around her was a nightmarish fusion of alien tech, its purpose clear even to her human eyes. This was a place designed to probe, to test, and ultimately, to weaponize. Zixvok loomed over her, his cybernetic implants gleaming in the harsh light. "You don't even realize what you are, do you?" he mused, adjusting dials on a nearby console. "The potential locked away in your Deathworlder DNA. It's the key to reshaping the galaxy." Sarah gritted her teeth, her mind racing. "We came here in peace," she spat. "Whatever you're planning, it won't work. Humanity won't be your pawn in some galactic power play." Thrax chittered in amusement. "Oh, but you already are. By the time we're done, your precious Earth will be seen as the greatest threat the galaxy has ever known. And the Galactic Alliance will have no choice but to strike first." As the aliens prepared their equipment, Sarah closed her eyes, focusing on the subdermal communicator hidden beneath her skin. It was a long shot, but it was all she had. "Hey 9, she thought fiercely. "If you can hear me, I'm in trouble. Deep below the Academy, they're planning to start a war." Miles above, in the chaos of the Academy's main levels, K9's sensors suddenly pinged. His AI core worked furiously, triangulating the faint signal. "I found her," he barked, his voice cutting through the din of the search parties. "But we need to hurry. Sarah's in danger, and so is Earth." Zillax, who had been coordinating with a group of empathic students, slithered over. "What do you mean? How can Earth be in danger from here?" K9 quickly relayed what he'd gleaned from Sarah's message. If they succeed in portraying humanity as an immediate threat, it could spark a preemptive strike. Millions could die before the truth comes out. Professor Xylix's tentacles writhed in agitation. "We cannot allow this to happen. It goes against everything the Galactic Alliance stands for. But the lower levels are locked down tight. How can we possibly reach her in time?" For a moment, the assembled aliens fell silent, the magnitude of the challenge before them seeming insurmountable. Then, unexpectedly, a small, timid voice spoke up. I might be able to help." All eyes turned to see a diminutive creature that looked like a cross between a ferret and a chameleon. It was Pip, a shifter from the Outer Rim, known for their ability to phase through solid matter. "The security systems can't stop me," Pip continued, gaining confidence. "I can get down there. Find your friend." K9's tail wagged with renewed hope. "Excellent. But you'll need backup. The ones who took Sarah are dangerous." Zillax's skin rippled with determination. "I'll go too. My empathic abilities might give us an edge." One by one, other students volunteered, each offering unique skills that could aid in the rescue mission. K9 felt a surge of emotion that his advanced AI struggled to categorize. Was this what humans called pride? Or perhaps friendship? As the rescue team prepared, K9 turned to Professor Xylix. "We need to warn the Galactic Council about what's happening here. If Zixvok's plan succeeds, the consequences could be catastrophic." The professor nodded gravely. "I'll use my clearance to send an emergency communique. But be careful, all of you. The fate of multiple worlds may rest on what happens in the next few hours." With a final nod of understanding, the mismatched group of alien students, led by a human-made AI, set off on their desperate mission. Deep below, Sarah fought to keep her composure as Zixvok and Thrax prepared to begin their tests. The machine they'd constructed hummed with an energy that made her skin crawl. "You're making a mistake," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Humanity isn't your enemy. We've overcome our violent past. We want to be part of something greater, to learn and grow alongside other species." Zixvok's mechanical eyes wared as they focused on her. Noble sentiments, but ultimately irrelevant. The galaxy fears what it does not understand, and you, my dear, are the embodiment of the unknown. As he reached for a control panel, a sudden commotion from the corridor outside made him pause. The sound of alarms blaring and shouts of confusion echoed through the hidden facility. Zorthrax's mandibles clicked in agitation. Impossible. How could they have found us? The laboratory door exploded inward in a shower of sparks. Through the smoke strode K9, his usually friendly appearance transformed. Panels had shifted across his body, revealing an array of non-lethal weaponry and advanced sensors. Flanking him were Zodilax, Pip, and a diverse group of alien students, each looking both terrified and determined. "Step away from my human," K9 growled, his voice resonating with authority. What followed was chaos. Zixvok and Zorthrax fought desperately, but they were outnumbered and outmatched by the surprising teamwork of the rescue party. Kip phased through force fields to disable security systems. Xilax used his empathic abilities to anticipate the enemy's moves. Other students contributed in their own unique ways, their diverse abilities combining in ways that overwhelmed the conspirators' defenses. As K9 worked to free Sarah from her restraints, she couldn't help but marvel at the scene before her. This was what she had dreamed of when she'd first arrived at the academy. Different species working together, using their unique strengths to overcome a common threat. "You okay, Sarah?" K9 asked as the restraints finally gave way. Sarah rubbed her wrists, nodding gratefully. "Thanks to you and, well, everyone." She looked around at the alien students who had risked everything to save her. "I don't know what to say." Xilax slithered forward, its skin shimmering with patterns of relief and pride. "You don't need to say anything. You showed us the best of humanity. We're just returning the favor." But their victory celebration was short-lived. Alarms began blaring throughout the facility, and the room shook with a deep, ominous rumble. "They've activated some kind of self-destruct sequence." K9 barked, his sensors working overtime. "We need to shut it down, or this entire section of the academy could be destroyed." Sarah's eyes fell on the complex machinery that Zixvok had been preparing to use on her. In a flash of insight, she realized its true purpose. "That's not just a weapon," she gasped. "It's a terraforming device. They were going to use my DNA to make other worlds more like Earth, to create more death worlds." K9's eye quickly grasped the implications. If that explodes, it could alter the entire Academy's ecosystem. Thousands could die. Without hesitation, Sarah rushed to the machine's control panel. Years of training in xenotechnology and her natural human adaptability came into play as her fingers flew over the alien interface. "Sarah, what are you doing?" Xilax cried, its skin flashing with patterns of alarm. "What humans do best," Sarah grunted, sweat beading on her brow as she worked. "Adapting." The next few minutes were a blur of frantic activity. Sarah, guided by K9's advanced calculations and assisted by the alien students, rerouted power, altered molecular configurations, and essentially rebuilt the machine's purpose from the ground up. As the facility shook around them, pieces of the ceiling beginning to fall, Sarah input the final command sequence. The machine hummed, energy building to a crescendo, and then released in a wave of harmless light that washed over everything. For a moment, all was silent. Then, slowly, the alarms faded away. The rumbling stopped, and in the air around them, microscopic particles began to sparkle. What did you do?" Pip asked, staring in wonder at the glittering air. Sarah leaned heavily against the control panel, exhausted but triumphant. "I inverted the terraforming process. Instead of reshaping the environment to be more like Earth, it's helping us adapt to this one." K9 finished, his sensors analyzing the changes. "Remarkable, Sarah. You've created a field that allows species to temporarily adapt to environments not native to them. Do you realize what this means?" Before Sarah could respond, the laboratory doors burst open once again. This time, it was Professor Zilix leading a team of galactic security officers. The professor's tentacles waved in a complex pattern that Sarah recognized as a mix of relief and awe. "When we received K9's message, I feared the worst," Zilix said. "But this is beyond anything I could have imagined." As the security team took Zixvok and tore Thrax into custody, Sarah found herself surrounded by her alien classmates. There were no more fear or suspicion in their eyes, only gratitude, respect, and genuine curiosity. In the days that followed, the full story of what had transpired in the hidden laboratory spread throughout the Galactic Alliance. Sarah's quick thinking and the heroic actions of her alien friends had not only prevented a catastrophe, but had also birthed a new technology that promised to revolutionize interspecies relations. The adaptation field, quickly dubbed the Chen K9 Harmonizer, allowed beings from different worlds to experience each other's environments safely. Suddenly, the barriers that had long separated various species began to crumble. As Sarah stood before the Galactic Council, K9 faithfully by her side, and her alien friends watching proudly from the gallery, she felt the weight of the moment. "Members of the Council," she began, her voice clear and strong. "I came to the Galactic Academy to learn, to understand, and to show you that humanity is ready to join the galactic community. What happened in that laboratory proved something I've always believed, that our greatest strength lies not in our ability to conquer or dominate, but in our capacity to adapt, to innovate, and to bring people together." She gestured to K9 and her assembled friends. "This is the true face of humanity. We are explorers, dreamers, and problem solvers. We've made mistakes in our past, yes, but we're committed to learning from them. We don't want to reshape the galaxy in our image. We want to be a part of its beautiful diversity." As Sarah's words echoed through the council chamber, she saw nods of approval and thoughtful expressions on alien faces. The fear and suspicion that had clouded her early days at the academy were gone, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. K9's tail wagged gently as he surveyed the scene. His advanced AI had long since evolved beyond simple programming, and in this moment, he felt something that could only be described as pride, not just in Sarah, but in the promise of what humans and aliens could accomplish together. As the Council began to discuss the formal inclusion of Earth in the Galactic Alliance, Sarah knelt down beside K9. "Well, boy," she murmured, scratching behind his metallic ears, "looks like we did it. We showed them the best of what humanity has to offer." K9's photoreceptors gleamed with an almost mischievous light. "Indeed, Sarah, though I must say I'm looking forward to our next adventure. After all, we've got a whole galaxy to explore now." Sarah laughed, a sound of pure joy that seemed to light up the chamber. As aliens from 100 worlds looked on with newfound respect and friendship, the human and her AI companion stood ready to face whatever challenges the universe might throw their way. For in that moment, it was clear to all that the story of humanity's integration into the galactic community was just beginning, and it promised to be the greatest adventure of all.